Good evening, creatures of the night. In the world of horror movies, few have left a legacy like the original Friday the 13th, the 1980 classic that birthed the franchise, terrified a generation, and, ironically, didn't even feature the hockey mask-wearing killer that we all associate with it. Today, with Jason, we're diving deep into the first film of the series, with rare facts and behind-the-scene informations that you might have never heard of, or you might have, and this video is useless. Damn! Let's start with the first curiosity. Do you know that the title, Friday the 13th, was locked on before the script was even written? The director, Sean S. Cunningham, paid for advertising in the magazine called Variety, the most terrifying film ever made. Beside the fact that the movie didn't even exist, he did this to be sure that nobody have already used the title Friday the 13th, worried that someone else already owned the rights to it. It was a sort of, let's see if someone sues me, and if not, I have a great title. Now, you might associate Jason Voorhees with the series, but in the original film, Jason was never meant to be the killer. Jason, sorry, can I might have a little bit of tea? Thanks, buddy, thanks, it's enough, it's enough. Okay, the real killer was his mom, Pamela Voorhees. Betsy Palmer initially thought that the script was terrible, calling it a piece of shit, saying, "Nobody is going to see this thing." She only agreed to the role because she needed to buy a new car, a Volkswagen Scirocco, to be specific. And her surprise, this role became one of the most iconic in the horror history and made her change her mind, or to better say, made her realize she could make some extra money out of it. Delicious, Jason, thank you so much. Another interesting fact is about Tom Savini, one of the most famous makeup artists in the horror world. Savini was hired for his awesome special effects, but here's the kicker. Fresh after working with Dawn of the Dead, he took the Friday the 13th job only because he saw it as a small project to fill time. Do you remember the infamous scene when Kevin Bacon characters gets an arrow through his throat? Tom Savini and his assistant Tasso were both under the bed. Tom's job was to stick the arrow through the hole in the plaster, while his assistant Tasso was assigned to pump the blood. When Tasso started to pump the blood, the tubing popped off the syringe, and, thinking quickly, he immediately grabbed the tube and started to blow into it, which causes all the bubbling and gargling of the blood. The accident actually ended up adding to the effect. Speaking of Kevin Bacon though, this was one of his earliest roles, but he wasn't the only future star involved. The composer, Harry Manfredini, who created the haunting score, gave us one of the most iconic sounds in horror history. What most people don't know, and I also didn't know, is that this eerie noise, it's actually a distorted recording of Manfredini's own voice. He recorded himself whispering, "Kill, kill, kill, ma, ma, ma," to evoke Pamela Voorhees' deranged mindset, as if she was saying, "Kill for mother." Did you hear that, Jason? No? Okay, buddy. Now, here's something that might surprise you. The original ending of Friday the 13th, when the young Jason jumps out of the lake to pull Alice under, wasn't in the script at all. This amazing twist ending was suggested by no other than Tom Savini himself, who thought the film needed one last jump scare. The director, Sean Cunningham, loved the idea, and the rest, my friends, is history. Here's another fun fact about Robbie Morgan, the actress who portrayed Annie. She went to Hughes and Moss casting for another movie, and they said to her, "You know, Robbie, you're not really right for this. But there's a movie called Friday the 13th, and they need an adorable camp counselor." This was nice, right? But sometimes things can get creepy. Did you know that Adrienne King was stalked by an obsessive fan after the success of the first movie? Scared about it, she asked that her part in the sequel be as small as possible. Imagine that she didn't took any role for the next 20 years. The movie was filmed in the summer of '79 across New Jersey. One of the locations was a little town called Blairstown, and it turns out that Lou Reed lived right next door to the set. Reed used to come by during the filming, and he sometimes played some music. But what about the role of Jason? For the role of Jason, Cunningham had considered to cast his own son, Noel Cunningham. But his wife didn't want their son to spend that much time in the cold water. So he cast Lehman, who had worked for him on many orphans. Legend says that while most of the cast and crew stayed at local hotels while filming, some of the most dedicated, including Tom Savini and his assistant Tasso, stayed at the actual campsite. They had Savini Betamax VCR and only a couple of movies on videotape to keep themselves entertained. So each night they will watch one. To this day, Savini says that he can recite those movies by heart. But perhaps one of the most rare facts about the original movie is that it almost never made to the big screen. When Paramount Pictures agreed to distribute it, they were so nervous about how the audience will react, especially given the film, the extreme violence. The film budget was only around $550,000, but it went to gross almost 60 million worldwide. We all know how it ended from here. 9 sequels, 1 spin-off, and 1 remake. There may be a new sequel, who knows? Meanwhile, grab your popcorn and keep your doors locked, because you never know when it might strike again. Until the next time, my friends, stay safe and keep the horror alive.